Have you ever stopped and wondered, why some wines really shout about one single grape while others are this kind of magical mix? It's a great question, actually. And it opens up a whole world of discovery. It's exactly what we're diving into today on the deep dive. We are exploring the fascinating universe of varietal wines, those that are all about one grape versus the intricate world of blended wines. Our sources for this deep dive cover quite a bit the essence of terroir, the real art of winemaking, how we taste and analyze, and even getting those food pairings just right. So, our mission today, pretty straightforward, really. We want to equip you with the knowledge to, grasp the fundamental differences between these two styles. We want you to appreciate the artistry that goes into both and feel, well, confident navigating your next wine choice, whether it's for a big meeting or just, satisfying your own curiosity. Let's unlock some secrets in the glass. Okay, so before we even get to the grapes themselves, we really need to talk about something absolutely fundamental in wine: terroir. It's a word you hear thrown around a lot, but what does it really mean for the wine in your glass? Like, beyond just saying it's from a place.
Right. And the key thing to grasp is that terroir is, it's so much more than just the dirt the vine's grow in. Think of it as a complete environmental signature. You've got the macro and microclimate, that's the sun, rain, temperature swings, even the wind. Then there's topography, slopes, altitude, how it faces the sun. And yes, of course, the soil geology is crucial, like limestone and Burgundy. It can give Pinot Noir and Chardonnay this amazing, vibrant acidity and elegance. Clay holds moisture, which is vital. Granite might give minerality. Sandstone helps with drainage. It all plays a part. But, and this is really important, there's also the human hand. The viticulturist's philosophy, the decisions they make in the vineyard and winery, they're kind of conducting this natural orchestra.
Ah, okay. So it's nature plus nurture in a way, the environment and the human element shaping the final wine.
Exactly. It creates this unique fingerprint that can sometimes even override what you'd expect just from the grape variety itself.
Okay, that sets the stage perfectly. So, with that foundation, how do we define the core difference between a varietal wine and a blended wine?
Well, a varietal wine is essentially a portrait of one grape. It's designed to really showcase that single grape's main characteristics, its aroma, its structure. Legally, it usually has to be, at least 75% or often 85% of that one grape. Gives you a really direct, kind of unfiltered look at the grape and where it grew.
So it's the pure expression, a solo performance, if you like.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
So then why blend? What's the goal when you start mixing different grapes together?
Blending is more like creating an orchestration. It's a very careful, intentional mix of multiple grapes. The aim is usually complexity or balance or maybe a harmony that you just couldn't get from one grape variety on its own. The real genius, I think, is in achieving this synergy where the final wine is, well, more than the sum of its parts. It becomes something new, often more complete. It's real winemaking craft.
Right, creating something unique that no single grape could deliver. So varietals sound like a fantastic starting point for us listeners to really learn what individual grapes taste like. It's like getting to know the basic building blocks. And beyond structure, acidity, tannins, you mentioned aromas, those primary aromas, the grape's signature scent, that's where it gets really interesting, isn't it?
Absolutely. Primary aromas come straight from the grape itself before any winemaking or aging influence really kicks in. Take Cabernet Sauvignon, iconic for blackcurrant or cassis. Often you get that hint of green bell pepper, maybe some cedar. Merlot tends to be softer. Think plum, cherry, sometimes a bit of chocolate or herbaceousness. Pinot Noir is fascinating. Yeah. Delicate red fruits, cherry, raspberry. And as it ages, you can get these wonderful, earthy, almost mushroomy notes.
Complex. And for whites, just as distinct, I imagine.
Oh, definitely. Chardonnay is a great example because it varies so much. It can be crisp green apple and citrus or lean towards tropical fruit, especially if it sees oak. Sauvignon Blanc is often quite pungent grapefruit, lemon, passion fruit. And yes, sometimes that distinctive green note like bell pepper or even boxwood or cat pea, as some describe it.
Huh. Yes, I've heard that one. And Riesling.
Riesling's beautiful. Peach, apricot, floral notes when young. But the really fascinating thing is how it can develop this petrol or kerosene note with age. Sounds weird, but it's actually a classic sign of high-quality, complex, aged Riesling.
Wow. Okay. So each grape really does have its own calling card, aromatically speaking.
It absolutely does. Big clues to its identity right there in the glass.
What I find truly amazing, though, is how the same grape can taste so incredibly different depending on where it's grown. It's like the grape goes traveling and picks up accents. Let's take Cabernet Sauvignon again. How does it change, say, from France to California?
Great example. Okay, Cabernet Sauvignon from Bordeaux, France. Generally cooler climate, soils often gravel or clay. The wines tend to be more austere, elegant, certainly, high acidity, firm tannins. You get cassis, cedar, maybe graphite. They're really built to age.
Okay, structured.
Very. Now, take that same grape, planted in Napa Valley, California, much warmer, sunnier climate. The wines become, well, opulent is a good word, really intense blackberry, black cherry fruit, often vanilla, chocolate, caramel notes from aging in new oak barrels. The tannins feel softer. The wine is more upfront, more immediately accessible.
Huge difference. It really shows how powerful that terroir concept is.
It's transformative. Terroir is like the director shaping the grape's performance.
And Chardonnay gets called the chameleon grape for this reason, right?
Mhm.
How does it change from, say, Chablis to somewhere like Australia?
It's exactly. Chablis, in northern Burgundy, France. It's famous for its Kimmeridgian soils, ancient clay and limestone packed with marine fossils. Typically, Chablis sees no oak. The wines are super pure, driven by minerality, high acidity, then green apple, lemon, flint. Really crisp, very refreshing.
Well, stark in a good way.
Yes, precisely. Now, contrast that with, say, a Chardonnay from Margaret River in Australia, warmer climate generally. It's common there to use oak barrels for fermentation or aging, and also malolactic fermentation, which adds creamy textures. So the wine becomes fuller-bodied, often higher in alcohol. You get tropical fruit, pineapple, peach, plus those buttery hazelnut, vanilla notes from the oak and malto. Much richer, more opulent style.
Completely different wines from the same grape. It just shows the amazing range that's possible.
It really highlights the grape's versatility and how much impact the place and the winemaking choices have.
So moving on from the single star, the varietal, let's talk more about the ensemble blended wines. It's a totally different approach, aiming for that synergy you mentioned.
It absolutely is. You could say blends are kind of the pinnacle of winemaking skill, in a way. The goal is often complexity, balance, consistency, things that might be harder to achieve with just one grape, especially year after year. It's a deliberate combination. The winemaker is like a composer, bringing different elements together.
Yeah.
Technically speaking, it allows for complementarity. Like Merlot adds softness and fruit, which can round out the tougher tannins of Cabernet Sauvignon in a Bordeaux blend.
Ah, so they help each other out.
Exactly. Or it can be about correction. If you have a difficult vintage, maybe one grape didn't ripen perfectly, you can use another to balance the final wine and maintain quality.
Makes sense. And also creating a unique house style.
Definitely. It allows a producer to create a signature wine that's distinctly theirs, maybe more consistent across vintages than a pure varietal might be.
It's fascinating how they play with these different building blocks. Thinking about classic blends, what roles do some of the key grapes play, like in a Rhone blend?
The classic GSM blend from the Rhone Valley, Grenache, Syrah, Mourvèdre. That's a perfect example. Grenache often brings higher alcohol levels, lovely red fruit flavors, maybe some sweet spice notes, a feeling of warmth. Syrah, or Shiraz as they call it in Australia, adds structure, firm tannins, black pepper, dark fruit character, sometimes smoky notes, real backbone. And Mourvèdre, that often contributes quite firm, sometimes rustic tannins, earthy or even gamey notes, and it can add great longevity to the blend. Each one brings something different to the party.
So they each have a specific job in the final wine. And speaking of classics, Bordeaux has to be the archetype for red blends, surely.
Oh, absolutely. Bordeaux is the benchmark red blend for many. You primarily have Cabernet Sauvignon giving structure and tannins. Merlot brings softness, fleshiness, fruit. Then Cabernet Franc often adds aromatic complexity, maybe floral or herbal notes. And Petit Verdot can add color and tannin in smaller amounts.
And there's that left bank versus right bank distinction, too.
Right. Left bank blends, like from the Medoc, tend to be Cabernet Sauvignon dominant, more structured, maybe more austere when young. Right bank blends, like Pomerol or Saint Emilion, are typically Merlot dominant, often plusher, fruitier, maybe approachable a bit earlier, but still complex and age-worthy.
Okay, got it. And we can't possibly talk blends without mentioning champagne.
No way. Champagne is the ultimate sparkling blend, usually. It's typically Pinot Noir for body, structure, longevity, Pinot Meunier for youthful fruitiness and approachability, and Chardonnay for elegance, finesse, and acidity. But the real magic beyond the grape blend is that secondary fermentation in the bottle. That's what creates the bubbles and those amazing brioche, toasty, nutty notes that develop over time.
The yeasty complexity, yeah. Just wonderful. And then there were the Super Tuscans in Italy. That sounds like quite a story. They kind of broke the rules.
They really did. It was a bit of a revolution back in the 70s and 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Winemakers in Tuscany started blending the native Sangiovese grape with international varieties like Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Syrah. These weren't allowed under the traditional DOC rules at the time for Chianti Classico, for instance. But the wines were often of outstanding quality, complex, age-worthy.
So they created a new category outside the rules.
Essentially, yes. They were initially labeled as basic vino da tavola, table wine, despite commanding high prices. It forced everyone to recognize that innovation could lead to exceptional wines, even if it meant bending tradition. They really shook things up and created some iconic wines.
Incredible. The stories behind these bottles are almost as fascinating as the wine itself. Okay, let's shift gears slightly. How do we actually experience these differences when we're tasting? Sensory analysis seems key.
It really is. It's how we, methodically unpack everything the wine is telling us. We start with the visual, the color, how deep it is it bright or dull? Those legs or tears running down the glass can give clues about alcohol and body. Then, the nose, the olfactory part. We're looking for primary aromas from the grape and terroir, like we discussed. Then secondary aromas, these come from the winemaking, like fermentation, or maybe early oak aging, the buttery notes or yeastiness like brioche. And finally, tertiary aromas. These develop with bottle-aged things like leather, tobacco, forest floor, dried fruit, that petrol note in Riesling.
Right, the evolution over time. And then comes the taste.
Exactly, the gustatory analysis. Here we assess the structure, the body, is it light or full, the acidity, is it sharp or soft, the tannins, grippy or smooth, alcohol level, any sweetness, plus, of course, the actual flavors on the palate and how long the finish lasts.
So, applying that methodology, let's imagine a blind tasting, that Cabernet Sauvignon varietal versus a Bordeaux blend. How would they feel different on the palate, side by side?
Okay, good scenario. The Cabernet Sauvignon varietal, tasted blind, might feel quite focused, maybe even like a punch of flavor, as you said earlier, perhaps. Intense cassis, maybe that green pepper note, quite firm, direct tannins. It's clearly expressing that grape.
A strong solo voice.
Precisely. The Bordeaux blend, on the other hand, would likely feel more integrated, more complex on the nose, perhaps a wider range of aromas like dark fruit, earth, spice, maybe some leathery notes from age if it has some. On the palate, the texture might feel more velvety, the tannins more resolved or meshed together. It's less about one single element standing out and more about the overall harmony and evolution in the mouth.
An elegant dance versus a powerful statement.
That's a nice way to put it. The key difference often lies in that sense of integration and complexity in the blend versus the focused purity of the varietal.
And for whites, let's take that Chablis, a pure Chardonnay varietal versus a Champagne blend. How would they contrast blind?
Big contrast there. The Chablis, that pure Chardonnay varietal, would hit you with its linearity and minerality. Very focused, cutting acidity, crisp green apple, citrus, maybe that flinty note. It's a direct line to its terroir.
Very precise.
Very. The Champagne blend, even though it likely contains Chardonnay, is a whole different experience. First, obviously, the bubbles, the effervescence. Then the texture is often creamier. Aromatically and flavor-wise, you get complexity from the blend of grapes, plus that secondary fermentation, the brioche, toast, nutty notes mingling with the fruit and the acidity. It's layered, celebratory, much more about the combined effect in the process.
Fascinating how the process adds so much complexity, too. Okay, we've got the wines. We understand how to taste them. Now let's talk about putting them with food. Harmonization enogastronomica sounds fancy. It's the art of pairing, right? What's the core idea?
It is. And the core idea is synergy. You want the wine and food to enhance each other, to create an experience that's better than either one would be alone. It's about creating a dialogue on the palate. There are sort of three main principles we often think about. First is similarity, matching like with like.
Okay, how does that work?
Well, think of a peppery Syrah with spiced lamb. The spice notes in both echo each other. Or a rich oaked Chardonnay with a creamy lobster dish. Or a sweet dessert wine with a fruit tart. Intensity matches intensity. Flavor profiles complement.
Got it. What's the second principle?
The second is contrast. Using opposites to complement each other. This can be really effective. The classic example is sweet Sauternes wine with salty Roquefort cheese. The sweetness cuts through the saltiness beautifully. Or think about a wine with high acidity, like a Sauvignon Blanc or a dry Riesling, cutting through the richness of fried food or an oily fish. Tannic reds work well with fatty meats for the same reason the tannins cleanse the palate.
Ah, the palate cleansing effect. Makes sense. And the third?
The third is equilibrium, or balance. This is about making sure neither the wine nor the food completely overwhelms the other. You wouldn't pair a really delicate white fish with a huge tannic Cabernet, for example. The wine would just stump all over the food. So light wines with light dishes, robust wines with robust dishes. Think about a light rosé with a simple caprese salad. They're in balance.
Similarity, contrast, and equilibrium. Okay, so let's get practical. Give us some classic pairings for those varietal wines we talked about.
Sure. For Cabernet Sauvignon, with its structure and tannins, think grilled red meats like a steak, rich stews, maybe some hard-aged cheeses like cheddar or Gouda. Pinot Noir, being more delicate with higher acidity and softer tannins, pairs wonderfully with poultry like duck or chicken, mushroom dishes, lighter meat sauces, even salmon,
Yeah.
and softer cheeses like brie or camembert.
Okay. Whites.
Sauvignon Blanc, with its high acidity and often herbaceous notes, is brilliant with seafood, especially shellfish, goat cheese, and salads with vinaigrette dressings. And Chardonnay depends hugely on the style. That crisp, unoaked Chablis, great with oysters or simple whitefish. A richer oaked Chardonnay, fantastic with fatty fish like salmon, creamy pasta dishes, risotto, or lobster with butter sauce.
Perfect. And what about some of those complex blends?
Bordeaux reds, especially those classic Cabernet Merlot blends, are made for richer fare. Think roast lamb, beef Wellington, game meats like venison, or flavorful cured cheeses. Rhone blends, the GSMs with their spice and fruit, are great partners for barbecue. Grilled meats, dishes with herbs like rosemary and thyme, or even slightly spicy cuisine. Lamb again is a classic. And maybe a white blend from, say, the Douro Valley in Portugal. Often complex and textural, they can be amazing with Portuguese specialities like salt cod, bacalhau, or grilled river fish. It's about finding that synergy we talked about.
That's incredibly helpful. It really shows how understanding the wine helps you elevate the whole meal. This has been such a fascinating journey, looking at wines through these two different lenses, the pure varietal and the complex blend. It really brings it back to the winemaker's intention, doesn't it? And also maybe to our own preferences.
Absolutely. Understanding the producer's philosophy is key.
Yeah.
Are they trying to give you the purest possible expression of Pinot Noir from this specific place? Or are they aiming to craft the most balanced, harmonious, and complex blend possible using several grapes? Knowing that intention helps you appreciate what's in the glass, and then yes, it comes down to your palate. Do you find yourself drawn more to that clear, focused character of a varietal? Or do you prefer the intricate layers and harmony of a well-made blend?
There's no single right answer, is there?
Not at all. It's about what resonates with you, what you enjoy exploring, and understanding why you prefer something just deepens the enjoyment, I think.
And connecting this all to the bigger picture. The world of wine is definitely not standing still. There are trends constantly shaping what we find in our glasses.
That's so true. There's a huge and growing interest in organic and biodynamic viticulture, focusing on sustainability and letting the terroir speak even more clearly.
Yeah.
We're also seeing a fantastic rediscovery of almost forgotten indigenous grape varieties in many regions. Winemakers are exploring ancient grapes, bringing new flavors and textures to the table. It's really exciting.
And the lines between Old World and New World seem to be blurring too.
Yes, definitely. You see New World regions, maybe once known primarily for powerful varietals, now making really sophisticated, nuanced blends. Think of some Australian GSMs or Chilean Bordeaux blends. And conversely, in some traditional Old World regions known for blends, there's more experimentation with single varietal wines, highlighting specific vineyard sites. This sort of global fusion of styles means there's always something new to discover. The landscape is constantly evolving.
It really keeps things interesting for wine lovers.
Absolutely. Never a dull moment.
Well, what a deep dive this has been. We've journeyed right from the soil, understanding terroir, through to the glass, exploring those pure, sometimes starkly beautiful varietal wines and the intricate, harmonious symphonies of blends. It's clear both offer unique, valuable, and really enjoyable experiences. One offers that direct line to the grape and place, the other showcases the art of composition. Maybe the real adventure in wine isn't about picking a side varietal versus blend, but actually in appreciating the incredible diversity and the sheer artistry that goes into every single bottle. So here's something to think about. What new varietal or what intriguing blend will you seek out next? And when you taste it, what hidden story will it tell you about its own unique journey, all the way from the vineyard soil right there to your glass?